Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to GPR on BTR. That's Gypsy Poet Radio here on blogtalkradio.com/Gypsy Poet. I am the Gypsy Poet, Sophia E. Deganis. What a show. And, of course, I'm continuing my co-hosting with the lovely, the wonderful, the fabulous Girl George. Say it swimmingly with me, people. Girl George. She is fabulous. Okay. What a show. We have got the one, the only Ronnie Godfrey on the show. Yes, people, Ronnie Godfrey. And he's an accomplished man. Very, very amazing stuff that I have seen and heard with Slow Moving Train, which is a recent track that's been plastered all over Facebook. What a fun song. He was actually part of one of the fastest selling records on my vinyl collection of the Marshall Tucker Band. Wow. And while we're at it, let's have Girl George cue the music.
I'm tired of hurrying and worrying. All this hustle and bustle is getting me down. I want to give it up and live it up. Take a little trip, get out of town and ride in love like the slow-moving train. All around the world, we're on back again. We've been living too fast. Can't stand the stress and strain. We wanna ride in love like a slow-moving train. Choo choo, choo choo, choo. We ought to lay back, way back, while we're winding and grinding on down the track. Take time to make time while we got the chance. Let's relax and ride in love like a slow-moving train. All around the world, they're on back again. We've been living too fast. Can't stand the stress and strain. Wanna ride in love like a slow-moving train. Choo choo, choo choo. Choo choo, choo choo, choo.
See, isn't that amazing?
It is. I just love the harmony in it. It's just the
I think
layers
I'm in
to
love
it.
with you, Ronnie.
Oh, thank you.
You don't mind, do you?
No, not at all. The more the merrier.
Your
That
wife
isn't-
is one of my old friends from Nashville, so I don't think she'll mind being I'm like 3,000 miles away.
Hey, we're all family. We're all one great big
So
family.
when did you play with Marshall Tucker Band? What year was that?
I started in 1981. They invited me to play on the Tuckerized record, and it was just the magic was unbelievable. I mean, not necessarily because of me, just they have such a magical way of doing their music. And we got in and did that record, and then there was a couple of months that went by, and they invited me to come out and play with them live. So it really was sort of like a 6-month process. First they asked me to play on that record. We did that. It was, the chemistry was right, and then a couple of months later they called me to tour with them. And that
How long did you
actually
play
started
with them?
till the spring of '84. It was a 3-year period of my life that was. It was almost like it was too good to be. I couldn't believe it was even real. I was in a dream for about 3 years.
I hear you have a gold record. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and when I came to Nashville, my goal was to get some songs recorded, and I got here in '88, And in 1995, on Ty Herndon's debut album, I think it's called What Mattered Most, I wrote a song with my wife, Kim, called Hatful of Rain, which was on there, and that record was certified gold in 96. It was like a dream. It was something, you know, when you're young and you get a picture in your mind of a future that you want to make happen, like gold records or whatever, and you visualize it, and with the day that we received a gold record, it was basically just like I had pictured it for so many years, that it would happen.
That's awesome.
You did really good. You even got to play with Leon Russell. You kind of remind me, your voice reminds me of a cross between Leon Russell and Ray Charles, which I just love.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You got to play with Leon?
Yeah, we did. Well, Leon used to open for us. During the Tucker tours, and he was always just, I mean, I always felt it was so crazy that he was going to come out and play before we played. And he even played my piano some of the time. And then later, Kim and I actually sang in 2007 on this record called Angel in Disguise that he did. It was produced by Mike Lawler here in Nashville. So I got to see him again, and we, talked over old times from the time back in the 80s when I got to play, on the same stage with him and everything. And he's, what a talent he is.
You played with David Allan Coe. He's an old friend of mine from there.
Oh, yeah.
He's crazy as shit.
Well, the story on David, of course, anybody who knows David knows he's an unconventional, very wild man. I mean, there's no way to get around it. That's David Allan Coe.
I love David.
So one time, it was in the early 90s, I got a call to do a session, and David was in the process of getting some songs together for some kind of publishing concern he was in. And we did about probably 25 songs with him over the course of like 2 days, and it was so amazing. He didn't really have all the songs even totally written. We would start to record these songs, and he would come up with this incredible line that would take me forever to come up with and go, what do you think of that? And I went, man, keep on doing what you're doing, brother. We're here with you, helping you out, But we got the 25 songs done, and it was definitely, David is a character, no doubt about that. Anybody who's ever been around him will certainly attest to that.
You played with Charlie Daniels, too?
Oh, yeah, Charlie, when I was touring with Tucker, we used to do a lot of co-headliners with Charlie, and Charlie would always invite me out to play one or two songs when they were doing their encores. Man, was that ever a treat. We'd do stuff like The South's Gonna Do It Again or Long-Haired Country Boy, some of those Charlie songs. And he, just about every time we would play with him, he'd invite me out to play some keys with him and his band. That was a treat. What a treat that was.
I hear you got a bumper sticker on your car saying something about Braille.
Yeah, basically what it says is if you can read this, you're following too close.
How long have you been blind? Were you blind at first and your brother's blind too? How did that happen?
Have I been blind all my life?
Yeah.
Not yet.
So far, maybe you'll see tomorrow. How did your brother and you? I didn't know it was hereditary. Is it hereditary?
Yes, it is.
It's
got a bunch
of
big names I can't pronounce, but.
So both you and your brother are blind, and he's a guitar player.
Yes, he is.
Wow, that's amazing. You're both musical geniuses. I've heard his music is amazing.
Well, he's a very talented guy.
So you don't need your eyes, honey. You got
music.
Look,
let me just say something about it. Blindness, not that I would recommend it for everybody. It's not, obviously, for the sighted people of the world. But blindness is a blessing. Blindness allows you to not have the distraction of sight. And I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm not throwing a blanket across the human race. But a lot of people form their prejudices with their sense of sight. They learn what the word ugly means, and that word really is actually defined by whoever their parents or whoever their role model was when they're 2 or 3 years old, and they see their parents point and go, look at that ugly guy over there. Then they start defining things. Blindness sets you free from all that.
I love that thought. That is lyrical right there.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
And so you end up marrying the prettiest girl in town. Kim, everybody thought she was beautiful. They all chased her around, and you can't even see her.
Well,
see how pretty she's. Very, very, very pretty. You know.
You know, it's funny. This guy, this songwriter that I was working with one day, he said everybody was just crazy for Kim. How did you tame her? He said, what was your secret? And I said, my secret was I didn't try to tame her. Excuse me. Kim is an unbelievable spirit. Mm-hmm. Everybody who knows her knows that. She has an incredible intensity and will that's brought her to where she is from where she started. And it's an adventure just living with her every day. She's an incredibly creative force, and she's a very complex person, but she's a beautiful, wonderful person. And speaking of beauty, yeah, all the outside beauty's there. But as beautiful as she is on the outside, she's way even more beautiful than that on the inside.
Yeah, I know she is.
Yes.
You've been married 23 years?
Well, actually, we lived together 10 years. We already felt married, and the grandkids, they had some fundamentalist Christian grandparents on the other side. They were saying stuff like, well, you guys ever going to get married? And we hadn't even thought about it much. And it wasn't a pressure thing or anything, but I thought, you know what, let's just do it. And it's a funny story about that. We were in Florida. We went to Florida to get married. We went down there with a friend of ours, and we're going to do this big romantic thing. They were going to go out with us to the wedding. And we spent all our money eating out and stuff, and they wanted $100 down there for just to get somebody married. And we said, to hell with that. Let's go back to Nashville and do it for $30 and go out to eat again. So we came home. And the day we were going to get married, I got called to do a session. It was a jingle. It was a real quick 30-second jingle, and they wanted to give me like $250. And I said, baby, do you mind if we put this off till this afternoon? There's a lot of money laying there. She said, go get the money. We'll get married tomorrow if we need to. So anyway, I went and did the session, then we went down to the courthouse and did probably the simplest, quickest, cheapest wedding any two people could ever do.
Wow.
So you've actually been married, 10, 13 years?
Let's say 13 years. We lived together for 10 years and then did it the traditional way. You know, we celebrate, our actual anniversary is the 11th of February through the 14th, because it took us 4 days to decide we really, really wanted to do it, get together. That was back in 1990. That's the actual anniversary we celebrate.
So you celebrate for a week, huh?
Sometimes even longer.
Oh, I'm glad you still like each other. That's really good.
Oh, yeah, we write. And our relationship is complex because we have a business relationship. We're partners, and we're friends, and we're family. So it has lots of layers to it, lots of levels to it, some complexity to it. People say, I've heard it said, if you see people together all the time, there's something wrong and there's something neurotic going on. I couldn't think more the opposite. You see, we're together because we like being together. We don't have a problem being together.
That's a good thing to have, actually. I mean, it's rare that you see couples that not only that live together but also work together, and that's really an amazing relationship that you have. I really have to say that. I mean, it's for me, it's kind of a rarity to see that, but I wanted to ask you a little bit about your songwriting, because you've got an extraordinary sense of musical direction.
Well, thank you.
Is coming from a songwriter myself.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask what brought songwriting and music to your life? Was it something you chose, or it chose you?
Well, I think it chose me from the beginning. Yes. I have there's a thing that I tap into. I think in the kahuna faith, they call it the low self. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's the little voice. It's the Force in Star Wars. It's a way that you can channel the song and let it come through you first, and then you just humble yourself before the fact that you've been given that gift and let the song come through you. And not all of them are that way. I've written thousands of different ways. I've written where you show up at 10 o'clock at a publishing company with a couple of people. You get in there and hammer it out and write a good song. But the ones that I think I'll always look back on with the most affection are the ones that just come through you. You couldn't stop it if you wanted to. You're basically just a channeling, a conduit for the song.
Yes. I call that uncontrived.
Yeah.
Yes.
My brother calls it being visited by the muses of songwriting.
Right.
It's basically just letting it come through you.
Right.
And then you put your fundamentals to work. Of course, you've got the left brain doing some stuff in there, but you've got mainly letting your instinct do the work.
Yes, exactly. That's how I feel about it too. Because this is coming, like I said, from a person who writes both music and poetry. And the best ones are the ones that just come through you. The best ones are the ones that come uncontrived. And that to me is amazing. That really is an amazing feat of excellence. And especially when after I heard Slow Moving Train, I listened to it quite a number of times. It's very catchy. It's very, if you don't mind me saying, addicting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, it is. It is very much so. It's a very, very well written song, and not just writing wise, but also I'm listening to the layers of music that are in this tune. It's like, wow, this is really good. This is very catchy. It's like, if not you, I wonder which of the current country stars is going to be willing to make a cover of that. I mean, personally, I'd like to see Tim McGraw do it.
That'd be wonderful.
Yes.
Well, they've got to be, I think, in order for them to want to feel it, they got to have some little bit of sense of the R&B part of it.
Trace Adkins, yes.
Yeah, I mean, any of them, hey, the more, like I said, the more the merrier. That's our motto around here. Yes,
I think, I mean, he could carry it. It's like, if you're looking for somebody other than yourself to sing it, and because I'm familiar with country music, because down here in Texas, because it's so funny, Girl George is out in California, and I'm down here in Texas, and yes, what a world! It's like we just connected, and so when she started aboard with me over a month ago, everything just started falling into place, and I've heard some wonderful music, some great acts. I mean, Girl George literally is very, very refreshing, and hearing this coming from folks from Nashville, it's like, okay, this I like.
Yeah, oh yeah. Kim has been telling me about Girl George for years.
Oh.
I've only heard the stories, girl.
Not all of them.
Well,
so you can't see, so you couldn't see my poster. Did you hear about my poster?
Of
my tattoo?
Something about a sword.
There's a poster of my tattoo, and my tattoo is on my hiney, so she didn't tell you about that. Tell her about that.
Good gracious, girlfriend.
Yes, she's funny. She cracks me up every show. Oh, and not just every show, every conversation. She makes me laugh so hard. I just about, let me put it this way, she's made me forget I have abs. Yes, leave it to Girl George. Looking a little bit at your history here. Okay, it says here in 1974 you joined a band called Garfield Ruff, and you signed with Capitol Records, and you scored a movie called The Hitter, which you wrote and sang the title track for, and you made a record called what is it? Garfield Ruff. Okay, talk to me about that a little bit. This is even before I was an idea, but I really had to. Yes.
Well, we back in Greenville, South Carolina, where I'm born, where I was born, some friends, we had, the big thing we wanted to do was stop playing copy music. We were playing nightclubs. We knew we were doing that. We wanted to play original music. We believed we could do it. We also believed we could get a record deal. We were young. We were naive. We didn't understand. We understood the creative process, but probably not the business process as much as we should have. But we just started with nothing, no equipment or anything. All of us were songwriters. We sounded really bad for about 3 years because we were trying to figure out what our actual sound was. And we didn't get a lot of work. We spent a lot of time. I remember we'd go in these clubs and they'd say, you got to play some Beatle music. You got to do something by some people that the people understand. So we would lie and say that we'd say, here's a song from an obscure Beatle album that was released in Europe, and it would be one of our songs.
Wow.
That's what we did to play our original music. But anyway, we started to get good around 77, 78, and because of our association with some of the guys in the Marshall Tucker Band, they were actually being courted by Capitol Records at the time as well. So their manager got us in touch with some of the people at Capitol, and we ended up scoring that movie, which starred Ron O'Neill, the guy that was in Superfly for y'all, y'all old enough to remember that movie. It was played at some drive-ins. It wasn't a really big blockbuster or anything, but it was really a treat to get to do that. And then we made one record for Capitol, and we got dropped. We had the misfortune of our record was released at the same time that a record was released by this group called the Knack that did this song called My Sharona.
My Sharona, yes, I remember
huge
this.
Hit.
Yeah.
Well, see, the way record companies work is they release 9 acts at a time. They move on the 2 that do the best, and they drop the other 7. That's how they do it. In other words, they can't just put all their money into 7 that aren't happening. They release 9, throw them up against the wall, spend their money on the 2 that stick, and get rid of the other 7. And we got dropped after that point. But we made the dream come true of getting the deal. We just didn't have the big hit afterward. So that's how that story.
But you have some big hits with Marshall Tucker.
Well, they, to be honest, they had done their time with Capricorn, and they were on Warner Brothers. When I got there, I thought they were better than ever. They were having some problems with the label. They didn't sink a lot of money into their record. But for example, when we did the Tuckerized record, there was a song Randy Newman wrote called "Mr. President, Have Pity on the Working Man." That song charted in the 70s in the pop charts and the record chart. It charted generally along in that area. And then we did, after that, I did 2 records with them, which we did in Spartanburg, South Carolina, in a studio they built, called Greetings from South Carolina and Just Us. There was no really big blockbuster kind of hits on there, but there's some great songs on those records. I still just love them.
But there's people that worship the Marshall Tucker Band to this day and love every song you guys ever did. So
the reason
you have a core there that follows you around.
Yeah, I think the reason from playing with those guys, I think the big reason that people fell in love with that band was because of their live presentation. Their radio records sounded good. They always came across great on the radio. But to be in that situation live, the intensity that they showed and as real as they stayed, they were just very real about the way they presented themselves. They were guys who wanted to raise hell, be rowdy, kick ass, blow people away in the concerts and just basically blow their audiences away. And they meant business when they got on the stage. I remember talking to a promoter in upstate New York in 1983. I was having dinner with a guy who was a promoter. He said, "Ronnie, these guys could come up for the next 5 or 6 years and sell out and never have another radio hit. That's because they already had the following. The fans just adored that liveness, and they were all very much. They stayed very true to their roots. They didn't really try to be things that they weren't, whether we were in L.A. or anywhere. No matter what state we were in, they were just down-home guys from South Carolina just raising hell and having fun. And people, I think that's infectious. People like to see that. It's incredible. It's just there's not even any words to explain. When you've got 50,000 people that are just going nuts because they love the band, and they get into it all at once with you, and the electricity is incredible. I felt like I levitated a few times, girl. You know, I'm telling you, man, it was intense. It was a beautiful experience.
So you're still writing music and everything,
yeah.
huh? And still singing and everything. That's great.
Yeah. I've got some irons in the fire right now.
You got to keep on going.
Yeah. I've got a couple of concepts I'm working on now where one of them is kind of like a new age music kind of thing. It's totally different for me. It's more instrumental than anything. And then I'm working on a record with Kim. We basically just decided to really go all in and do a record on her. It really showcases her incredible talent. This record is called Therapy. I'm co-producing and co-writing it with her, and it's incredibly complicated music, though. We spend, for example, we've been working all weekend on these harmony parts that we're going to do soon. We have to write all the parts out, and once we get them on tape, they represent a feel, but it's very complex fundamentally from a musical point of view. So. And I've got a solo thing I'm doing, and lately I've been sequencing my music. I have a keyboard that has all the drums and everything in there, and I've just been putting all my music together in my keyboard lately.
So you don't need a whole band to do it. You can just sit in your room and put it together yourself.
Yeah. I like
That's
that
great.
Because I like it because it's cheaper, but also I can sort of control the music like I need to at this point. I've gotten to the point where it's hard to explain sometimes what I want. I can hear it in my head, but if I can play it, I can just go ahead and have it done.
Yeah, it's much easier if you can do it all yourself.
Yeah, I think so. At this point, I mean, the equipment now, the drum sounds. I mean, the sounds now that are in the keyboards and the sequencers are so incredible. I know the drummers out there won't want to hear this, but they we're living in a mechanized world now. You know.
Yes. I did have one question. May I ask what instruments you use?
Excuse me? What type of instrument?
Yes. Is it a Coe?
I have a Yamaha. It's a Yamaha Motif 8.
Oh. Okay.
And it's an older model, but Motif is one of the most incredibly innovative. The whole Motif line is not only is the keyboard, very durable just to take around and play, but the sequencer in it is incredible. And you can upload that stuff into a recording situation and just go from there. That's why we're doing the Therapy record. I need to get you guys a copy of the roughs on that Therapy record at some point where you guys can check it out.
Awesome.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Absolutely. I mean, the music is exhilarating. Oh, my goodness. Yes, it is. It's a lot.
You've got 2 minutes left, so anything you want to plug or?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Yes. I
would like everybody to check out my website, RonnieGodfrey.com. There's just a few things in there you might, and also, I'm still a player and a guy who does sessions. I do teaching. I do songwriting help. We do singing, playing around here. If anybody would like to work with us, and my motto is, if you got $1, I'll holler. Just get in touch with me on Facebook or through Girl George or through one of you guys. Now we live in a world where you can send the WAV files across, email your music, and we can put parts on there and then email it back to you. So,
I love that. Awesome. You can put it up on YouTube. You don't even need the record companies anymore. You just put it out yourself.
I mean, the virtual world, how it's emails. Just take email, for example. How magical is that? Everybody has their own telegraph system. I used to do, back in the day when I got with Tucker, the guys were already tired of doing radio by then. They've been out so much longer than me. And I volunteered to my road manager. I said, and they said, let him do it, man. It'd be good practice for him, and it'd be enough fresh voice, and I can remember playing some concerts, and we used to do a lot of morning radio. I'd get up at 5:30, and me and my road manager would go, and I remember on one 15-day tour, I did about 40 interviews, and I always used to get just that good kind of nervous thing, when you're going to be talking to people and people.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, it is incredible. What a life. No?
Yeah, totally. Well, I got less than a minute to go here, and I just wanted to say what a joy this afternoon it was with Ronnie Godfrey. Say it with me, people, Ronnie Godfrey. Please check out his website on RonnieGodfrey.com, and you can also check him out over at my personal favorite, NashvilleMusicPros.com, and also do not hesitate to contact him on Facebook. He has wonderful, wonderful stuff. Check out Slow Moving Train all over Girl George's pages, plastered all over Facebook. And also, Girl George, I have got to say, you have made GPR a phenomenon. You are amazing. You have some of the most wonderful people you've brought to my program, and I'm forever grateful that you have co-hosted with me on GPR. It is a joy, a pleasure, and a blast. And it continues to become that. Okay.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Of course. Oh, my goodness. So please check out Ronnie Godfrey on Facebook and on NashvilleMusicPros.com and RonnieGodfrey.com. He's got more stuff coming out, and please enjoy the music. This is Gypsy Poet Radio. I am Sophia E. DeGonis, the Gypsy Poet, is saying adieu for now.
Ciao.